smiling, Isaac's tapping out a tune. Zippy's tail is swinging and he's lighting up the room. We wrapped a little magic in a bundle made for two. So grab yourself a friend tonight, these savings are for you. Origins and Imagine, the best from the Tangent team. All the magic, the style and the sparkle, everything you need to dream.
Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Katharyne. And we have our Black Friday deals for you. Super, super exciting. If you have been sitting on the fence, you've been curious about Imagine or Origins or Tangent templates or Edu Intel, then stay tuned because I have some great news for you. What we are doing for Black Friday is that we are offering our Everything bundle. Now, bear in mind, Imagine, the regular price is $247. Origins, the regular price is $297. We are offering access to both courses, everything that is in those courses, and they're both huge. I think this is like 40 hours of content, something like that. It is enough to keep you sitting watching for many a happy hour. We are offering full access to those courses, and that includes all the extra stuff that comes with them. Tangent templates, FrameSnap, Tangent Crystal, our prompt builder, the GPT builder, and it includes thousands of prompts, data, all kinds of PDF resources. There's literally dozens of resources, PDFs. So we are offering our Everything bundle, which is both courses, plus Tangent template, Crystal, FrameSnap, everything for $196. But what's the catch, you say, Katharyne? Well, there is a catch. The catch is that you have to buy it with a friend. But actually, if you don't have a friend or you can't find a friend, then send me a message because we can help you out. Just for Black Friday week, we are offering the Everything bundle for $196. That is an absolute bargain. It has never been priced this affordably, and we really want you to have the opportunity to be part of these courses. There is so much in them. There are so many classes, and each class is tightly edited. It's not fluffy webinars or rambling or anything like that. These are really focused classes that walk you through the processes. In fact, let's take a quick look at this. So Imagine includes Tangent Crystal. And guys, a lot of people have bought Imagine just for Tangent Crystal. If you are creating coloring books, then Crystal is a must-have. What it does is it takes all the grays out of coloring pictures and it vectorizes them. So whatever platform you're creating your images with, if you look at them, you will see there is some shadows, there is likely some blurriness, even if you're using Gemini. Tangent Crystal will take out all that gray. It will give you super crisp black and white images, and it vectorizes them, so there's no need for upscaling. And not only that, you can do neat things with them in Tangent templates. You can separate out the images, you can take specific elements from an image, you can add color to it, you can add a gradient to it. Tangent Crystal is an exclusive tool from Tangent, that's from Isaac and me, that is exclusive to Imagine. There isn't another coloring book tool like it. So we really, really recommend this if you are creating coloring books. Imagine also includes a huge data pack. It has all kinds of information about the kind of coloring books that are selling. It has my new Bold and Easy class, which shows you how you can use Midjourney to create bold and easy images. A lot of people think that's not possible with Midjourney. Yes, it is. I show you how you can do that in this course. And then there's 15 hours of video content, there's classes and interviews with industry experts, including Sasha O'Hara, who made $1 million from her coloring books. And she actually got started creating coloring books when she took my first coloring book course back in the pre-AI dark ages. So it's really inspiring to hear her story and how she made her coloring book so successful. Now, if you're curious about Origins, Origins is the course that I made this year. Every single class in Origins was recorded this year. 24 hours of classes exclusive to Origins. They haven't been shared anywhere else on YouTube. The 70 classes, 24 hours in Origins is exclusive to that course. There are also hundreds of PDF resources and guides. There's a GPT builder, which is fantastic. If you're creating GPTs with ChatGPT, we have an exclusive tool for that has 160 templates ready for you to edit, and you can resell those templates as GPTs. So it's really cool to get you off to a flying start with creating GPTs. Topics in the course, well, there is a detailed guide to creating and monetizing GPTs. Now, a lot of people talk about GPTs. I practice what I preach. I have monetized GPTs. My book Creator GPT has had over 5,000 conversations and over 200 reviews on the OpenAI GPT store with an average rating of 4.6 stars. So I have made a lot of GPTs and I've been successful with them and I monetized them. So I have a whole module that guides you through creating GPTs from scratch with no previous knowledge required. And it takes you up to where you're ready to take shortcuts and start using the GPT builder. Other modules in Origins, well, we have one on monetizing AI art. I show you how to create custom portraits. I show you how to create mock-ups that you can use on Etsy or on other platforms. And we delve into some really unusual avenues for monetizing your AI art. So it's a really inspiring module. We also have a module on monetizing music. I love the monetizing music module. I think this is actually a very easy thing to do with AI. And I teach it a little bit differently from anything else that I've seen out there. And that's because I brought in a lot of the knowledge I have from selling on platforms like Merch and KDP. And I found that some of the techniques I've used there work really well for creating music and monetizing music. I have songs that have made over $50 each with no promotion, with no emails, without using my name or any assets or branding or email lists I have. Nothing like that. It's on fresh accounts. Now, for FTC purposes, I don't guarantee any monetizing or anything like that, but I can see no reason why you can't do the same thing, because actually I haven't even done this full time. I've just experimented with it and made some songs that have been very successful. I've also got songs that are only making a couple of dollars each or $5 to $10 each. And you know what? It doesn't matter because these songs take literally minutes to make. So I think this method is actually really awesome. And I'm actually very surprised that more people aren't teaching this because I do think it works really well. So monetizing music, that is in Origins. Data and research. Oh my gosh, guys, I love this module in Origins. Now, data doesn't sound very sexy and very exciting, but it is so cool. In these classes, I show you how you can scrape data from Amazon, from Reddit, from other platforms. It is really, really exciting. It gives you superpowers because you can see what people are talking about. You can see what products are selling. And I show you how you can look at that information with AI. And these are the same techniques that I used to create the Edu Intel pack, which I sold recently. And the sales on that were absolutely fantastic. So many of you loved that pack. You said, okay, there is so much gold in Edu Intel. It's telling me products that I should be selling on Teachers Pay Teachers, on Etsy, on KDP. The techniques that I use to create Edu Intel, I am teaching and sharing those secrets in this class. So this isn't just a module for getting data for yourself, although, of course, that is amazing to research data and to get a feel for what is selling out there. But this is also how you can create data products that you can sell. And I have a whole class in here where I actually talk about a bunch of different data products that I've made over the years, why they sold, how I sold them, how I put them together. And I've been making data products since long before popular AI. So this is something that's kind of close to my heart. And now I have AI, I can make things like Edu Intel, which, as I say, has been a really fantastic product. I've had a lot of sales on that, a lot of great feedback on that. And you can make something similar yourself if you follow the data classes in Origins. And the Notion class, which is really cool. A lot of you are getting started with Notion. And if you go and look on platforms like Gumroad or Etsy, you will see that there's actually a lot of Notion dashboards that sell for really, really good money. So this is another path you can take with AI. And there is so much more in Origins. As I say, there are 70 classes in Origins, and each one is there to teach you as much as I can teach you about that subject. They are all jam-packed. I try and put in as many Easter eggs, tips, ideas into each class. And you also get prompts, and you get all kinds of extra resources that I've put together. In fact, let me jump ahead to talk about frameworks for a moment, because I have a module in Origins on frameworks, and I love frameworks. A few years back, I made a class called Magic Formulas, which was really about frameworks, about the little formulas and frameworks you can use to create products. I developed that idea for Origins. And one of my favorite classes in Origins, which doesn't sound immediately like, oh, I must buy this course, that's something I've been meaning to learn. It's something I wanted to make, but I created a masterclass called Magical Matrices. And in that class, I basically share what I learned from my MBA, my biggest takeaway from studying an MBA, which was creating matrices and the power of matrices. And what I have found is that with AI, if you create a matrix, that can actually be the heart of your business. It can be so powerful. And this is why these great thinkers that are quoted in business textbooks have been seen as great thinkers, because they create these matrices. They seem like magic. And I kind of use AI to take away all the magic and show you how you can be a great thinker too. And not only that, these can be at the heart of your business. I actually create a framework, I create a matrix, and then I unpeel that and show you how you can build a business from that. In fact, I do it. I create a brand, I create pricing offers, I create a whole business plan from that matrix. And this is just an example of what is in Origins. Each class in Origins goes really deep. There's a lot to discover in this. I put in so much work, so many hours of work developing this course, because I think the content is really valuable, and I hope that it will help you at all levels. So if you want to do something quick and simple, you can make songs and monetize those. You can create AI art. But if you want to work on your business and create something deeper, you want to create something that lasts, then I want you to also look at the frameworks course, the data module, and see what you can build from those, because those are more evergreen content that I think will stand you in great stead as you develop a fuller business concept. So that's all in there too. Plus, there's an introduction to automation. I show you how you can create simple automations, including how you can post to Facebook. I have a KDP class in here where I show you how you can create remix books, which I think are really cool. And there's a video module as well where I show you how I put together a music video using AI. So there is so much in there. I also have some mindset classes. I have more business classes. There is a lot. It is a really big course with a lot to dip into. And not least, there is an amazing community that goes with it. The community is so friendly, so supportive. People have so many ideas and are so inspirational in there. I really love the Origins community very much, and I'm very grateful for everyone in there. So you also get to be part of that as well. So it is a really fantastic course, and I would love for you to check that out. So let's review the deal again. If you buy the Everything bundle, you get both courses. You get Imagine, and you get origins. And if you can buy it with another person, it is just $196 each. That is the biggest bargain we have offered on these courses. And as I say, if you can't find a friend, send me an email. We can help you. And we're also offering this separately on the courses. So if you just want to buy Imagine or you just want to buy Origins, then you can get those for half price too if you buy them with a friend. Or send me a message at support@tangent.rocks and we might have a friend for you. We don't want anyone to get left behind with this deal. And if you're not looking at taking a whole course, but you would like one of our products, we're also offering a deal on our Tangent Classics. We have 3 products for sale here: Tangent Templates, FrameSnap, or Edu Intel. And we are offering any one of these for $49. And if you want all 3, you can buy all 3 for $99. So that is an absolute bargain. So just to quickly run over those deals again, we are offering the Everything Bundle, which is Imagine with Origins. It also includes FrameSnap, Crystal, Tangent Templates. It doesn't include Edu Intel. So if you want Edu Intel, you will have to add that on separately. It's $49 if you want to add that on today. But all you have to do is sign up with a friend. And if you don't have a friend, send me a message, support@tangent.rocks, and we will make sure you get that deal. And if you're looking for Tangent Templates, FrameSnap, or Edu Intel, you can buy those this week for $49 each, or get all 3 of them for $99. So there are some amazing deals there. You can get all caught up with your Tangent products. And if you missed it, Tangent Templates had some massive updates recently. We've added in gradients. We've added a bunch of awesome typography options. You can create some really beautiful books for KDP. So do check those out. We would love for you to be part of our courses and to be part of the Tangent family. So I was talking in the KDP Facebook group about creating medium content books. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because a lot of people were like, wait, hold on, what are you doing here? And this is actually an extension of something I shared about a year ago, actually, when I talked about Claude, because Claude is actually really, really good for helping you build a medium content book. I've actually made a free guide for you about medium content books, and I've turned that into a Notion. So you can go to my Gumroad. The link is underneath the video. You'll be able to go to my Gumroad and get the link for this Notion guide to creating medium content books. And it has a lot of information in there. First of all, it has an actual guide. So I've given you some example prompts here so you can see the process that I use to create a medium content book. And also I've given you, I think, about 300 niches in here that are valuable for creating workbooks or medium content books like this. And you can just open these up and take a look at some of the niches in here, like leatherworking, for example. And then I've included an example title and some content that you could use in this book. So if you're doing leatherworking, you can teach tool use, saddle stitch. You can add some project templates and a practice log. So it just has some ideas here for what you can create your books about. And these are divided into sections. So there's creative arts and hobbies, home and hearth, mindset and mental wellness. And these are all topics that I think work really well for creating medium content books. And then I've also taken that huge list of niches and found the Google search volumes, the monthly search volumes for each one. Now, Amazon don't give out search volumes. They don't tell you how many people are looking for a particular topic, but Google do. So I've got that information for you. Google searches really correlate very strongly with Amazon searches. If people are looking for things on Google, they're likely looking for it on Amazon. So I think these are very valuable. They tell you what people are looking for. So I've included a whole big list of niches here that you could create a book about. For example, moon phases, financial freedom, conflict resolution. These are all great topics for a medium content book. And I do recommend finding your own framework for these. maybe an acronym, maybe a magical matrix. If you're in the Origins group, you'll know how to create a magical matrix. But I do recommend finding your own framework for these problems and using that to create your book. So let's take a look at Claude and how you can use that to create a medium content book. And I've found that I can create a book in an afternoon, maybe 2 to 3 hours with brainstorming, editing, using Claude and tangent templates. So let's take a quick look at that. I had an idea about creating a book about thanking and honoring your ancestors. And this is something I got the idea from a lot of Facebook memes. I saw several Facebook memes in a row that were talking about ancestors, about how many ancestors we each have who have brought us here, and how taking time to think about our ancestors, to honor our ancestors, can kind of strengthen us and make us feel very thankful about where we're at now. And I thought this was a great topic for a book. So I would start with a brainstorming prompt like this. I would like to create a book about honoring and thanking ancestors. Please, can you help me brainstorm a structure for this book and 40 possible page titles? I would like it to be a medium content book similar to a guided journal. 20 content pages that explain different parts of the process, and 20 pages with prompts that the book reader can write in. So this is what I would start with, something like this. Whatever topic you are creating for, start with a brainstorming prompt and let Claude come up with some ideas for the structure of the book. Unless you have something very specific in mind that you already know how you want to build it. You can see Claude doing its thing here. It has created a structure for this book. So it says Section 1, Understanding Ancestry, 8 pages. So there'll be 4 content pages, done exactly what I suggested. Introduction, why we honor our ancestors. Tracing the web, understanding your ancestral lines. So we've got those 4 content pages and 4 prompt pages. And then there are more sections here. Knowing your ancestors. Section 3 is all about healing and honoring. Breaking cycles. These are great. This is some fantastic content. If I'd had to sit down and come up with all these topics, this would have been months of research, not just, oh, here it is on the screen. This is what we can do. Forgiveness, breaking cycles, letters to ancestors. Fantastic. Claude is coming up with all the ideas that we need here. We've got a section on gratitude. And then the last section is deepening connections, creating sacred space, ancestors as guides. This is absolutely fantastic. So now what I recommend is starting with a prompt page. I would pick an interesting page from this, like an ancestor's story. And I just found this tends to work better starting with a prompt page because that gives you more of a feel for how the book might be laid out. So I'm going to go with an ancestor's story. So I'm going to say, create a prompt page, an ancestor's story. Combine prompts with space to write the answers. And I'm going to give this some specific instructions. I'm going to say, create it as an SVG file. And this is the important bit because SVGs can be imported into tangent templates. I'm going to say wrap all text and use Nanito font. And you can actually change the font in tangent templates, but I found specifying a font can help with avoiding trouble. And I'm going to say you do need to be a little patient with this. Claude can do some weird things with SVGs, so you really need to work at getting the first couple of pages right. You may encounter errors, you may have issues with this. Just keep going until you have the first page right. And then once you've got that, it gets easier and it gets quicker. And once you get 2 or 3 pages done, you can go really fast. So be prepared for the odd error or issue. It is AI. I'm going to show you how you can avoid most of those. So we've got create as SVG file, wrap all text, and use Nanito font. I'm also going to say avoid ampersands and unusual punctuation. I found ampersands tend to break SVG files. Avoid common SVG errors. And I also want to give it some formatting help. So I'm going to say grayscale page, attractive design, and use whatever vibe you want for your book. It could be modern design, it could be playful design, whatever fits the type of book you're creating. US letter orientation format. I've also found doing square books to be really nice. I really like how square books come out in this format, especially if you're planning on adding coloring pages as well. So let's run this. It's going away, doing some coding and building an SVG file for you. Okay, it's done, and this actually looks fantastic. I'm going to download this as SVG. Again, I do recommend starting with a prompt page. For whatever reason, I found when you start with content pages, sometimes you run into issues with the text. Starting with a prompt page seems to get Claude into a good workflow and into creating good layouts for this. We've downloaded it. First, I'm going to try opening this in the browser. Oh no, okay, we've immediately hit an error. So what I'm going to do is screenshot this, and I kind of expected that. I found that the first few SVGs you make with Claude, you're going to hit errors. No biggie, I'm just going to paste that error into Claude, and it's going to figure it out for me, hopefully. I see the issue. The problem is with the style tag. So it's corrected it. Let's try again. We're going to download that. And again, we're going to just open that in the browser. Okay, it opened in the browser. It looks good. So now let's take it over to Tangent Templates. Here's a book I was working on in Tangent Templates. I'm just going to hit my downloads and drag that in. Great. Okay, here it is on the page. So this is the Claude file. And now you can start formatting it. So we can turn the margins off, and we can actually go to Arrange. And on the Arrange tab, you actually have this option to make your page full width. And you can also center it. So that is our page pretty much done by Claude. Now, I wouldn't leave it like this. I see some issues here, and I see some things to edit. So what you're going to do is ungroup the SVG. And you can ungroup from the Style tab. You can click Ungroup there, or you can click Ungroup on the Arrange tab. So I'm going to hit Ungroup, and you'll see that it actually corrects the font. So when the font comes in, it's often a little bit wonky until you ungroup it. So always ungroup your SVG, and then you can really edit it as it is. Now, I don't want that header up there, and I'm going to extend this line here. And I'm actually going to take away this box behind. And what you'll find is Claude loves putting boxes behind things. So I'm going to get rid of that because we can easily just change the background here. So we can change the background. If we want it to be grey, we can add our grey background in Tangent Templates and not have to worry about that big box. So you can edit things here. We can move these fields around like that. I don't want that page number because that's probably not going to be accurate. And you can see here it's put some lines in the boxes. I think I'm going to actually just delete these and do this with Tangent Templates. So I'm going to get rid of those boxes and put my own in with Tangent Templates. It's very easy. All you do is you add a box, put it where you want, like that. And then you're going to fill it. And you can also round the corners. So if you use Tangent Templates boxes, then you can add your own details to that. You can add a border to the box. And then if you want lines, I'm just going to select that, make sure I'm on fill space, and add some college ruled lines to that. And if I want those to be black, I can just select it and change the grey to black. So that looks fantastic. Now I can take that box and just copy that here as well. And another one right there. And you'll see there's things you don't want here. You might not want those lines. You might want this line here. You might want to change the thickness on that. So you're going to do your editing in Tangent Templates and make the page look how you want it to look. But this saves you a huge amount of time typing, brainstorming. Claude does a lot of the work for you. It is pretty awesome. So once you're happy with the design you have, then you can go back to Claude and you can say, great, please proceed with the next page. So now it's made a second page for us. And as you work on it, you're going to find things that are bugging you. So you can say, hey, okay, redo this page without the section 2 prompt page header. Also remove the gray divider lines. So you can start tweaking it in Claude itself. Okay, great. It took out that header and it took out those extra lines there. It still has this weird line, so you could prompt correct that. And it's probably a good idea to make as many corrections as you can in Claude, because then it will be less work for you to edit in tangent templates. But this looks pretty good, so we can just download this, and hopefully now we shouldn't have any errors. So if I create another page in tangent templates, drop that in, now it looks a lot better. So again, we can say, okay, make that the full height of the page, center it, we're going to ungroup it, we're going to take away that box at the back, extend that divider, and we can copy that box, go back to this page and paste in our boxes. So we can get rid of the Claude generated boxes and put in these boxes from the other page. And we're just going to fix the formatting on this, get rid of that page number again. So you're just going to do this for each page. You can probably get your editing time down to a minute or two for each page once you get going. What I recommend is just getting your formatting fixed with these first and working through each page, formatting it the way you want. And then at the end, go back and edit page by page, read through, make sure it makes sense, make sure there's no M dashes, make sure there's nothing nonsensical. And hopefully at the end of it, you will have the structure of an awesome book. Now, you might also want to add coloring pages to this, especially if it's a fun book, it's a magical book, it's a book for kids. Now, I use several tools to create coloring pages. I really like Midjourney because you can create in a signature style. So I love Midjourney because you can really hone your own style with that, but it does have a bit of a learning curve. If you want to create something quickly, you can use ChatGPT or Gemini. ChatGPT takes a while to generate images. So if you're trying to create a whole book, it can be a headache trying to make your images in ChatGPT. And in Imagine, I actually show a sort of hybrid method working with ChatGPT and Midjourney. So you get the prompt responsiveness and the style of ChatGPT, but you can use the speed of Midjourney, which is a really cool method. I like using that. Another quick way to create coloring book images is with Google Gemini. Create a mystical, slightly abstract coloring book image that shows a woman being held aloft by her beautiful, put space in there, mysterious ancestors. Simple, bold lines and swirling patterns. Let's see what it gives us. Wow, okay, that looks fantastic. So what I'm going to do is download that. And I'm actually going to use Tangent Crystal, which I strongly recommend if you are creating coloring book images. Because if I edit this, I can bring the brightness down and make those lines really nice and strong. If you look at these side by side, you can see that the original actually is kind of grey and has some areas that are actually a little bit blurry. So if you scale that up to the size of a colouring book image, it's not going to look great in print. It's going to have some pixelated areas. So by crystallizing it, what we are doing is taking out the need to upscale the image. So it will look really crystal clear, pure black and white at any size. I strongly recommend using Crystal for your coloring book image. And I'm going to download that. We're just going to drop that onto the page there. And it looks fantastic. Now it is square and our book is portrait. We can just put it in the middle of the page. We could always add an image. I could go to TT Images and maybe just pick a border and add a pretty border at the bottom. So these are actually hand drawn. They look kind of cool when you add them to a page like this. So if you want to, you could just add something like that. Or you can add some text. Meditate as you color this image. Whatever you want to say. Or you can go back to Gemini and say, create this in a portrait orientation. Or you could use Midjourney and actually resize the image and ask it to use generative fill. So you have several choices as you create coloring book images. You can also create a square book. And then if you want to create a cover for your book, just go over to Project, and you're actually going to do Quick Create. You can say KDP paperback cover, and however many pages it's going to be, 50 pages. Quick Start a new design. And now we have a cover for our book. So I'm going to delete that. And you can do something fun like this even. If we have a crystallized image, one thing you can do that's really neat, and make sure you have fill selected, you can actually create a gradient for this, which can look really, really neat. In fact, I'm going to add another color to this. Let's make this yellow here. So you can get really creative. And if you want the image to be even stronger, you can add a border to this, like that. You can actually thicken that border, and it will make the image stand out even more. And then you can add your own background to that. Like, you can do something like that. So this is one really creative way that you can make covers. Or you can go back to Gemini and you can say, color this image for me, so I can use it as a book cover image. And that's another option. So now you have that image from Gemini. But if you plan on making this the cover of your book and it looks amazing, you will need to upscale this because it's a PNG. And so it's probably going to look pixelated at full size of your book. So I would recommend upscaling it. I use Topaz. There are some free upscalers available. One is upscale.org, but you need to use the desktop app, which is a bit of a pain, but it is a free upscaler. The nice thing with working with SVGs, though, is that they don't need any upscaling, no matter what size you have those at. And I also love our new typography. If you go to Text and Type, we now have this style gallery, which lets you pick some really neat styles for your text. So we can say ancestral workbook, and we can stretch that out. And what you can do is actually save this gradient from the image. So if we say save gradient, you can then actually click on the text and select that gradient again, so your text actually matches the gradient that's in the image as well. So this is Topaz Gigapixel, and if you look carefully at these faces, you can really see the difference that upscaling makes. Now, sometimes with images, you only need to scale them to twice the size, but because this is going on the cover, I'm going to make this 4 times the size. So I'm going to save that. And now we're going to go over to the Tangent Designer and choose paperback cover. So we're working on an 8.5 by 11 book, and it's 50 pages. So let's open up the cover designer. Awesome. So I'm going to get rid of all the text, and I'm going to drag my Topaz image that is upscaled onto the page here. So I'm going to turn off the margins, and what I'm going to do is just make this really big. So we're going to pull this and make it big. And if you look at the image tab, it should say bitmap editor. And what you're going to see is this scale ratio. And if those numbers are green, then your image is going to look awesome on the cover. When these numbers start going red, that's when it might start to look pixelated. So because we've upscaled this image, it's going to look really good. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to turn those margins back on. I'm going to crop this image so that it will fit on the front cover. So I'm just going to scroll down here, crop image, and I'm going to crop it to there. Awesome, that looks really good. And now I want to give the other side a background. So I'm just going to make sure my image is selected, background. And what I'm going to do is use the color picker to actually pick one of the colors from this image. So that looks nice. And another thing you can do with a bitmap to image like this is that you can actually create a color palette from it. So I just click the image, clicked create color palette, and you can see what it's done. It's actually built a palette based on the colors in this image. And now I'm going to add some text. Let's see, I'm going to want to choose from the type tab. Let's look at my starred fonts. So I'm going to choose this one here, the RF, and I'm going to make that bold. And we're going to type in here, honoring our ancestors. And I can center that. I'm going to stretch this We'll put our on the same line there and make sure that's going to fit on here. Perfect, that fits. So now something you can do is go to your style tab. We have these colors here, so we could actually turn these into a gradient. So if I say add new gradient, check it out, we can actually pick the colors from this palette here, like that. I'm going to add another color. Let's make that the yellow. And let's add one more color. And we'll make that green. And now I'm going to add a border around this. So we'll put a black border. And I'm going to scroll down, thicken that border a little bit there. That looks pretty cool. And now if we put that over the image, almost, I think something that might help is giving it a drop shadow. There we go. So if we choose a color for the drop shadow, let's maybe make that the blue here. That actually looks pretty awesome. So we can move the angle around on that gradient. We can experiment with that. I think that looks really nice. I think I'm going to change that green color to be the turquoise blue. Make it a little lighter. And I'm going to change this color here to be the pink. So there we go. I think that looks awesome. But now you can put your text on the back and you will have a really awesome cover for your book. And here's one more thing I love with Tangent templates. If you go to the rocket ship menu and you go to templates, you can use any of the templates that we actually have in the system. And if you go down to the bottom, there's actually some with more text on. And I'm going to pick this one, relationship communications. So this is a template that you might use if you were working on a relationship book. What I'm going to do is use promptify with this. So to use promptify, what you're going to do is select all the text on the page, and then you're going to go to FPD. And FPD stands for Form Powered Design. And you'll find promptify there. And it says, okay, this is a page about relationship communications. You can click this, generate prompt. I can take that prompt across to ChatGPT, and I would say make sure you're not in a thinking model or it will take forever. So just go over to ChatGPT in the auto mode, and it will say which niche do you want to adapt this to. So I'm going to say I want to make this ancestor communication. And there it goes. Okay, this is looking good. It's got some fields. So I'm going to copy these fields. And now I'm going to go over to Promptify, click Apply Niche, Paste, and Update. And check it out. It has just turned this page into a page about talking to your ancestors. Messages from my ancestors, questions I wish to ask, guidance I'm hoping for. So this has just created a whole new page for me. There's a few formatting issues, so I'm just going to click it, click Style, Ungroup, and then I can just fix these layout issues there. That's not centered. So I'm just going to make that centered. But look at the speed that you can just create a whole new page with. So I hope that was useful to you. Don't forget to grab the Notion and go and grab those Black Friday deals. We would love for you to join us in Origins and Imagine. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit the bell, all those things so that you don't miss any more videos from me. And have a wonderful holiday ahead of you. I hope you spend some lovely time with your family. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.